What up, y'all? Flan Speaks back. Another video. You know how we do. Um, just a little WWE update and some of my thoughts on what's going on, what's happening with the company and all of that. Go Eagles, you know what I'm saying? We should take it this year if we have a good draft. But anyway, WrestleMania is coming to Philly, my hometown. Prior to that, they're supposed to have some events at the Philadelphia Convention Center. You know, depending on how much the price of tickets are, thinking about considering going through. You know, meet a couple of them, take my kids, meet a couple of them, maybe get a couple of autographs. Who knows what'll happen, man? Maybe I get to see Montez or somebody like that. You know, which I would like to do. We'll see what happens with that. But I'll be around the area whether I go inside or not. I'll be around there. You know, man, I got to be in the mix. Come to my city, you got to check in with your boy. You know what I mean? All right. Anyway, this past Friday's Smackdown, you know, I don't know what the numbers look like, but just listening to some of the wrestling commentators, it seemed like some of the wrestling content creators, it seems like a lot of people didn't like the show. Personally, I thought it was mediocre. I mean, mid. It wasn't bad. I mean, they tried to do something like, you know, when they try to do a storyline, I actually appreciate it. And they did. They tried. You know what I mean? I do believe that the standoff between Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes at the end was kind of, you know, boy-oing, you know. So let's start with the men, and then we'll deal with the ladies. Okay, so obviously WrestleMania, we're gonna have a 2-night event that includes, you know, The Rock, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, and Seth Rollins. Right? It's a very weird situation. But as I've said before, the situation is only because of the fans and creative, right? You have creative that has a vision, which could be short-term or long-term. It's hard to say because, you know, we can only speculate. But the fans, you know, for whatever reason, react a certain way to certain things. They like certain things, they don't like certain things, and then creative starts to plan around that, which creates, I think, a disastrous situation for everybody. You know, what I wish creative would do was kind of like ignore fans and just focus on making a good show. That's what I really wish creative would do. But I mean, I don't know. I guess they feel like this method that they employ brings in the most money. I don't know. Gives them the most buzz. I don't know, but to me, it looks like an industry that doesn't quite know what they're doing, you know. And this is why we have this this 2-night event thing. All right, the way the rules are supposed to work is Cody Rhodes is supposed to get his choice. You know, who he sees based off of him winning the Royal Rumble. You know, as we all know, and they decided, because The Rock was available, to conclude Roman Reigns' storyline, to bring The Rock in, you know, for whatever reason, you know, to do their thing. And Cody Rhodes was just they could have just easily had him select Seth Rollins. And I know many of you feel like, well, Cody's story has to be Roman Reigns' belt, so on and so forth. See, I say not necessarily. You know, Cody's story could easily just turn into Cody wants both belts. And he's going to start with Seth Rollins and then eventually try to get at Roman Reigns. Could have just easily done that. And fans, what could they say? This was Cody's decision. It is what it is, right? And then The Rock, but the way they did it was kind of weak. You had The Rock come in and make it look like Cody Rhodes shook his hand and submit to The Rock. Well, you didn't have to do that. You could have just had Cody Rhodes just come on there and say, okay, I select Rollins, regardless what the fans think. You know what I mean? And it would have won over. And I'm gonna tell you why. This isn't the first time like the winner of the Royal Rumble selected an individual people didn't expect, or a person that people didn't deem would be the best sense-wise, or the best match. You can go back last season when Bianca Belair was the champion, and Rhea Ripley had won the Royal Rumble and had the choice. And Rhea Ripley had chosen to face someone other than Bianca Belair. I'm tripping. Who the champion was? Was it Charlotte? Whoever the champion was. She decided to face that person instead of facing Bianca Belair. And Bianca Belair really was the match, and still is really, for real, the match that people want to see. All right? But people accepted it. Bianca Belair ended up facing Asuka. Rhea Ripley ends up winning. No, I think she faced Liv, or one of them. I can't remember who was actually that she faced, unfortunately, okay? But my point is, she didn't pick Bianca, which was the match that made most sense, really, if you look back at it. But the people accepted it. They went along with it, right? I think that, and I believe, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, I believe WWE's plan was to eventually to give Rhea one belt, Bianca the other belt, and to have them hold the belts until eventually they face off, right? Which is the match I think that they really were building towards. But then this got intercepted by them following the damn fans, who for some reason they get tired of champions. They got tired of Bianca Belair and they thought she should lose to Io Sky, which I thought was ridiculous. I don't believe Bianca Belair should be losing to Io Sky at all. All right, but I'll get into that a little bit later. We have this situation, this 2-day situation, where Roman Reigns and The Rock are going to face Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins in a tag team match. And then the second night, Roman Reigns is supposed to face Cody Rhodes. Whatever. I mean, on the face of it, the card, it looks stupid to me. But I don't know what's going to happen. It might end up being okay. I don't know. It's just, I think it's unnecessary. And it's because they're trying to appease fans, play both sides of the fence. And I think that's just bad on the part of creative. Like, the fans that are complaining are not going to stop watching, right? And in business with anything, any type of attention is a good attention, whether it's positive or negative, whether it's criticism or whether it's praise. It's still good. These people are still going to watch because they can't help themselves, right? They're fans of your sport, of your product, right? You should have just went along with it. You stop listening to these fans. You're destroying a lot of the product, in my opinion, when you're listening to fans, okay? So now we have this here situation. But WWE is still, despite what the fans want, they're going to find a way to do the bloodline thing. Like, The Rock is determined on that, and Roman Reigns is determined on it because, you got to think, these people invested 3 years into Roman Reigns. They got to end this thing right. They're going to be dedicated to doing that. And then now you got Rock, who's actually part owner, on the board or whatever his official title is. So they're going to do that, despite what the fans think. But with it, the problem is it may not be done in the best possible way because of them trying to appease both sides like that, So we'll see what happens with that. When you look at Raw, what happened, I guess the story is ushered forth a little bit more. I don't know. I thought it was kind of dull the way they did it. Nobody fought, and that's good. They don't have to fight each other because you're going to see that at WrestleMania. But the Jay Uso thing, I think, is kind of weird. Being on the side of Seth Rollins and them. Now, the way I would write it, the way I think it should be written, is Jay Uso eventually goes back to the bloodline. You know what I mean? You make Roman Reigns like a true boss if he used Jay Uso really as like a plant, up in there. Like, that's the way that should go. Jay Uso should ultimately be a plant, up in Cody's camp, who turns on him at the last minute and is the reason Cody loses. That's what I would do. You know what I mean? Because I'm gonna make the bloodline almost like unbeatable. You know, the way you destroy the bloodline is similar to the what you have in the A Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon world. Is the only way the bloodline should be defeated is if they have a civil war within themselves. So you ultimately still got to push that civil war. And the only way that civil war could be a true civil war for real, is you had to have Jey Uso eventually come back into the fold. At least I believe, Him fighting with Cody like that doesn't really make sense for me, okay? So we'll see what they do. I'm just telling you what I would do, what would make sense to me as a fan, of the sport. So that's what we got going on with that. Other than that, you have Drew McIntyre going at it with Seth Rollins on the second night. I like what they're doing with Drew McIntyre. I wouldn't mind seeing Drew McIntyre take the belt from Seth. Seth is a decent champion, but like I think that whole product needs work over there in Raw. That championship, it needs somebody to bring some serious prestige to it. I know they had it with Lashley for a minute. Lashley is one of my favorites, but Lashley is just so dull on the microphone that it's hard to make him a champ. That's why they had to give him MVP and and then the thing with the Street Profits, I don't know, man. But I will tell you this. Him with the Street Profits has potential if they were to do the right thing with it, which I don't know. We'll talk about that in a second. But as far as Seth's championship, I'm cool either way. I don't mind if Drew McIntyre takes it. Matter of fact, I think Drew McIntyre kind of makes sense taking it because ultimately I think they want to give that belt around CM Punk's waist, or at least have CM Punk feud with whoever has that title. I think that's what they're trying to go for. So whoever's going to be the champion has to hold it until CM Punk comes back. So you figure either way is fine. Both guys have issues with CM Punk. Seth has legit issues with CM Punk. And so does Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre, to me, it's kind of hard to say, man, but I wouldn't mind seeing either one. But Drew McIntyre, to me, with what he's been doing lately, I wouldn't mind seeing him have a belt because I like this particular Drew McIntyre. You know what I mean? So, either way, whoever wins that one, I'm cool with, to be honest with you, because I'm interested in seeing what they do with CM Punk versus whoever holds that title. We just don't know when CM Punk is going to come back exactly, but I look forward to that. The situation with Gunther's title, I don't know. I guess they're going to have him rumble somebody, have him lose that. What I would do, me personally, I would push towards giving that title. Like what I would have done, I would have had LA Knight fight Gunther. And I know what you're going to say. Like LA Knight is on SmackDown. It's on the blue brand. Gunther, I think, is mostly on the red one, right, on Raw. But, see, the thing with LA Knight is interesting. The fans really like him a whole lot. I'm not really big on LA Knight yet, right? This last SmackDown is helping me to like him. It's helping me to kind of gravitate towards him a little bit. He, to me, in my opinion, lacks originality. He's just a combination of Daniel Bryan, Rock, Stone Cold. He just talk a lot of shit. Just not particularly animal in the ring. Just, yeah, I hate the yeah thing. I do. But that's just me. But I get the fans like him, so from a business standpoint, you want to do something with a guy that a lot of the fans gravitate towards, right? Before that changes, because eventually if he just keeps losing, you'll kind of lose that So I get it from a business standpoint. So what I would do is I would push to get him either the U.S. belt or get him the Intercontinental belt. I don't think he should necessarily be the world champion right now. I don't think he's done enough. But this feud with AJ Styles I actually like because you need this guy to go up through the ranks, pay his dues to a degree. Don't just obey the fans. You know, fans are just, hey, you messed up. Fans are just be loving some guy. Then when they become the champ, they suck as a champ. You know, that's so the way they're doing it, I think is right. A feud with AJ Styles, show a different side to him. He had him show up. He came all gully. He showed up at AJ Styles' crib. You know, I was feeling that. You know, I like stuff like that. You know what I mean? That's type of stuff make me like a character. Like, oh yeah, he's gully. You know, so I think that was a good move. You know, but I'm cool with either way. I like AJ Styles and LA Knight. I'm starting to gravitate towards him. You know, because of that segment they did with him, and you know, we see what happens with that. The Street Profits, man, I can go on and on about that joint, man. The Street Profits is one of the most disappointing situations in all of wrestling for me. But right now they're in a tournament. Here they got to go up against Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. This is going to be a tough one because I don't know who they're going to go with to actually go on and get the belts. What I would like to see, what I like to see happen is one or two things. All right, either Street Profits go through and win, you know, and win. But I can also see why they would want to give the belts to Theory and Waller. Theory and Waller are two assholes, right? So they're character-wise, they're more compelling than Street Profits. Street Profits have a lot to work on in terms of like their character and their who they are. Now people like them in the ring because they beast in the ring. But see, Waller in Theory, they good in the ring, but they're also assholes. Like they would be good tag team champions. So I can see going to them. Now, Street Profits just recently went through this crazy, grueling back and forth duel with what's that? Karrion Kross's two big dudes, right? And I'm glad they pushed Street Profits past them because those big dudes. I mean, I don't know what you're gonna do with them right now. They got the old Road Warriors manager, my man. But I don't know if they're ready for that right now. You know what I mean? But I'll put you like this. If the Street Profits don't win, what I would like to see happen is they make moves to push Montez Ford's his solo career going. I think it's way overdue. You know, I like Dawkins though. Dawkins is one of the most likable guys, you know, on the roster, to be honest with you. But Montez Ford has so much more, you know, to offer that he can give. And you see him up there, he's trying, man, to the point where he's looking like a fool, acting like a silly Will Smith, you know, dancing and shaking and all this old stuff that's cringy to me. But at the same time, when he gets a chance to talk, he's really trying to, you know, on the mic. And it's almost to the point where he's trying too hard, you know, and I hate to see that. And it's because he's not getting the opportunities that a lot of these other guys are getting for whatever reason, you know. So he's just trying to, I think he's just trying a little too hard. So what I would like to see him, because he's one of the best dudes in the ring, period. He's one of the craziest dudes, one of the most entertaining dudes who will do things that, you know, a lot of them guys wouldn't even try. I think he should get a push towards, you know, one of the Intercontinental or United States belt, right? I would have loved to see him in a feud with a guy like, say, LA Knight, AJ Styles, like in that mix with those guys, because I think those guys should be mid-tier card guys right now. You know, right now I don't think you want too many main guys, right? And you can have LA Knight be the man, have the fans and all that, be a mid-tier guy. Like back in the day, you know, we had guys like Tito Santana, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, you know, who were, and eventually Brutus the Barber Beefcake, who were mid-tier guys, you know, Honky Tonk Man, but they were great. Jake the Snake Roberts, mid-tier guys, but they were big, large and life type stars. You know, they didn't have to have the undisputed belt and all of that, the heavyweight belt and all of that stuff. And that's what I think they should do with Montez, AJ, LA Knight right now. Until later, pay your dues, then you move up. You know, you can beat Roman Reigns and those types of guys, man. So that's what I think they should do. With that. But Montez is long overdue. He's too talented, man. He's too talented, and it's been going on too long. He needs a push, you know. So what I would do is, if you're gonna go with Theory and Waller as the tag champs, which I think they would be good tag champs. I ain't even gonna hold you because of their mic ability, especially Waller. They some assholes, right? So what I would do is I would have the Street Profits lose to them in a way that just opens the door to a Montez push. It just drives Montez out of his mind. He can't take this shit no more. I can't keep doing this, whatever, you know. Dog, you my man, but look, I gotta do what I gotta do. And then he starts on his own journey. That's kind of what I would like to see happen with that. I think it's about that time. You know what I mean? I don't really want to necessarily see a feud between Montez and Dawkins, how they normally do. Not really. But they might have to go that route. They have to have a problem with it, I guess. All right. Other than that, man, you got the stuff that's going on with the Latino groups and so on. I don't have much to say about them because I'm not really closely following that stuff. You got the Judgment Day with the R-Truth and the Miz and all of that going on too. You can go to some other channels to get that. Dude, that stuff isn't really my main focus. You know what I mean? I kind of focus on a couple storylines that I'm really into. Some of the other things that don't get my attention that much, I just, you know. The only thing that actually gets my attention about the storyline right now is Rhea Ripley, you know, because of how phenomenal a champion she is. You know, the rest of them, Damian Priest and those other guys, you know, that stuff just doesn't hold my attention. You know, I might even turn and start watching the Sixers before I even deal with that stuff. All right, now, what's happening with the on the female side? Okay, so on the female side, on one hand, you got Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch. We already know that's gonna be a banger. You know, you got two phenomenal, you know, wrestlers in there who. Their names speak for themselves. What their body of work speaks for themselves. It's a showdown where that was kind of inevitable. Becky Lynch, you know, however you feel about her, you know, I'm not the biggest on her gimmick, but I respect what she's done, who she is, and then she's going to be in WrestleMania. Let's be for real, because has one of the biggest salaries. She's making about like over $3 million a year, so they're going to have her in WrestleMania. That just comes with getting the big bucks. Right, that's just the way that goes. So, but at the same time, I expect that to be a banger. You know what I mean? I don't believe Rhea should drop the title. I believe she's too great a champion to be dropping titles. Though if she is gonna dropping it to Becky, there's no shame in that. You know what I mean? So, I don't really have much to say about that other than that. I expect that to be just a good classic banger. You know what I mean? Now on the other side, you got Io and Bayley. See, the only thing that's interesting about this is Bayley, right? Now I gotta talk to some of y'all about Io and Asuka and all of them. Like, listen, man, listen. This is not going to be a popular opinion, but those ladies to me don't really do it for me. Like I don't know how to put it. I know they have a large fan base and that has to be respected, and I know they put in work. They're working as hard as the others and all of that. But you see, I'm gonna keep it real with you. I'm gonna keep it 100. the majority of the wrestling matches, the actual matches themselves that happen in today's wrestling, I don't really like that, and I know I'm different, okay? I like more of the I like wrestling. I like a wrestling match to be one of two things, right? Either I want it to look like a fight, okay, or I want it to look like an actual wrestling match. One of the two things. Either you look like a fight, like a real fight, or a wrestling match. These matches that really look like aerial assault displays, just gymnastics, like displays, don't do it for me. I don't really care. Like this, it looks like a bad scripted movie, like an episode of Cobra Kai. Some of these matches, with just setting everything up just for a moonsault or an aerial assault backflip thing and all of that. That stuff is like good when used like properly as a finisher or whatever. But when you got two wrestlers coming in to meet each other, okay, in the middle of the ring, and then the first thing they do is just a drop kick, and then one is flipping, and then forward salt and the backward somersault, and it just looks fake as hell to me. And I know it's all scripted, but it looks fake as hell. I like good old headlocks, drag to the mat type of stuff. I like stomping on somebody's fingers. I like eye raking. I like just punching in the face. Like I like the old school type of stuff. I'm not even holding. I'm a little biased when it comes to that. I do. And I believe that type of wrestling is better because it's going to lead to less injuries. Because really, it's not even about the performance necessarily all the time. And now at certain points in the match, yeah, you want that. But it ain't about that necessarily all the time. Sometimes it's about just the culmination of a storyline where a character is just getting some get back, or a character is finally getting at somebody or getting to show what they can do or showing the emotion that they have and having the ability to get the crowd's reaction. Crowd's reaction ain't always just from, just the theater of a flip or something like that. You know what I mean? Like even this, the newest girl, everyone's sensation, Tiffany Stratton, for example. What makes her good to me, great to me, isn't, just the prettiest moonsault ever. That isn't really what does it for me. Honestly, I like how well she sells. That's the stuff I look at. I like how well she sells. I don't care about the flips and all of that. She's not the only one doing flips. EO, Asuka, all of them do that stuff. Bianca does that stuff, right? That isn't what do it for me. What I like about her is her awesome heel potential, as as I call her, the clueless, girl, the clueless mean girl, valley girl, that whole gimmick, coupled with, how well she sells and all that kind of stuff. That's what's going to do it. And ain't, the prettiest moonsault ever. Actually, the prettiest moonsault ever is going to get her injured eventually. And that's the stuff I look at too. A lot of that stuff. That's why these people are always injured. Because they're focusing on those things. So now with the women's, what are they going to do? I don't care, and I don't think anybody really cares about Bayley versus Asuka. Versus Io, except for the fact that people want Bayley to win. Of course, Bayley's going to beat her because Bayley went through this whole thing where she, loses the belt a long time ago. Okay, Sasha ends up with the belt. Bianca gets it from them. But if you look at the whole progression of it, Bayley is the one that kind of helped get Bianca along. She's the one that helped get a lot of people over, man. She basically carried Io's freaking hand through her whole championship reign, which was a whack reign. Okay? But this is what I wanted to talk about. And this is one of the issues I have with a lot of the fan base here. I believe WWE, if you go back over a year ago, the match they wanted, they know the Sparks Fly match they wanted, Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley. That's really what they want. And they know that's really what real fans really want. They want to see those two titans collide, okay? That whole vision got interrupted by all of a sudden this group of fans cheering for Io to beat Bianca at one of those wrestling events, which was so cringy and just like, you know, I'm tired of Bianca being the champion. Io deserves it. And that's fine, you feel that way. What I have a problem with is creative listening to that. We're going to sit here and give Io a belt because y'all complaining. Then Io gets the belt. And Io's a horrible champion. I'm sorry, she's horrible. No mic skills. And because she doesn't have mic skills, you can't really put her in a feud. The only way she's in a feud is if you had to take Bayley and have Bayley forget what Bayley's doing and make Bayley create this group where Bayley is the mouthpiece for everybody in the group. That's what they had to do in order to give her any type of reign whatsoever. And this is the person many of y'all wanted instead of Bianca Belair, right? This is what I'm talking about. When really WWE could have worked for a clash between her and Rhea Ripley, okay? And I get it. One is the champion, one's the champion, whatever. But that's really what I believe their vision was, long term. But, these people want this Io thing. So this whole damage control thing, to me, was whack. I believe it's a whack faction. I believe the whole thing with them jumping Bianca every other week was whack. All of that. Because they can't even get on the mic and talk. Right? They can't even get on the mic and talk. This is why I believe in the women's division, they need to make more belts. You should have mid-card belts for women. I would consider bringing back the Diva belts. I know they call them the women's champion now, but bring back the Diva belts. Let the Diva belts be a mid-card belt, or you can call it something else, and let Io have that. Like the main belt should be for superstars that can do everything, that can talk, that you can put in a feud, that can wrestle. All of that. If all you can do is just wrestle and just flippity-doo and do doopity-doos, and you're not body slamming people, you're not like really dominant physically, you should be mid-card. It will make for a better product. Sorry, you don't like what I'm saying? Hey, Kabuki Warriors, they should be tag team champions. I have no problem with that. But they got to step their game up to be real champions, right? Unless you're going to bring back, guys like have a Paul Heyman with them or somebody like that. Bayley basically just was now a Paul Heyman for a while, and that's just crazy. So now they're in a situation where you got to give Bayley this belt now because she did all that stuff for you. It's almost like grateful. You had to, out of gratitude, you got to give her the belt now, have her beat Io. And so now you take a great talent like Bianca Belair, and you don't know what to do with her now because you done followed this stupid fan base who wanted Io Sky. So now she is pulled into some little feud. Now she's on Bayley's side eventually. So what you going to do, right? So now you're going to have Bayley. Naomi comes back. After this whole time, they don't know what to do with her. Let's just have Naomi and them go at the damage control. So what do I think they're going to do? So now, to try to make the best they can out of it, I got the Kabuki Warriors damage control. They're going to lose all their belts. WrestleMania. And this is probably how it's going to go. Io loses to Bayley. Then the Kabuki Warriors lose to either Naomi and Bianca, Jade Cargill and Bianca, or Naomi and Jade, something like that. I think something like that. Now, what I think is best for business is you make a tag team between Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. That's the tag team that you do. And why do I say this? Bianca Belair is the type of talent that she needs to have a belt. Like I hate to say it, but she needs to have a belt. She does. Same thing with Jade Cargill. Like some talents, they gotta have a belt. Or you're wondering why don't they? Right? That's just the way it is. So I get Bayley. You gotta have Bayley hold this belt for about a year. I think. You know, I think Bayley has to hold the belt for about a year. That's the belt that she's going to win from EO this WrestleMania. So that means Bianca goes a whole nother year, no belt. You know what I mean? That to me, that's inconceivable. She might as well just take off and go have a baby if that's what they're going to do. You know what I mean? Because what are you really going to write for? You got this body slamming, KOD doing individual with no belt. So you're going to what? Make a bunch of little fake feuds with who? You're going to have a feud with Jade Cargill instead of get with her? No. What I think you could do is take care of Bayley, because, you know, and this is one of the rare cases where I say a wrestler deserves a particular thing, and if anyone does, it's Bayley. So you got to take care of Bayley. Give her that belt. And then you take Bianca and Jade and you make them the baddest women's tag team champions of all time. Because that's what they would be. The only time they might possibly be stopped is if you put them up against maybe a Charlotte teamed up with Rhea Ripley or something like that. That's the only way I can see them possibly being stopped. Other than that, they're like they should run roughshod through everybody. And what this does is this brings interest to the women's tag team division. So now you get to write more stories. You get to do more feuds. You can have them feud with the Kabuki Warriors for a couple of months, right? Then have them feud with those phenomenal ladies tag team that just came up from NXT not too long ago. That's over on Raw. I don't know, bring them over, whatever. Okay. You can build up other tag teams because you got all this talent, all these women that you're not doing anything with. Just start making tag teams out of some of them. You know, that's what I think they should do. And then this brings prestige to those belts. It builds more interest. It makes a better show. All right. So that's what I think they should do. So what I predict next week, they're saying that Jade Cargill is going to make her debut, and I think that's what's going to happen. Damage Control is what, 4 girls. Okay. Right now, they just got Bayley, Bianca, and Naomi, right? So they're gonna need a 4th. So it only makes sense they're gonna bring in Jade Cargill somehow. What they might do is, now I wouldn't even mind they got all 4 of them, Bayley with those 3, and they just run roughshod over everybody. 4 horsewomen type of thing again. Don't use that same name, but something like that. I wouldn't have a problem with that, you know. I wouldn't have a problem with if they kept the Street Profits and Lashley together. This is with me, what I would do. If I'm creative, I'm going to have Lashley, the Street Profits, and I'm going to have Jade and Bianca join that. I'm going to have Naomi join the Bloodline. That's just the type of stuff I would do, right? But if you got that faction, they would destroy a lot of people too. You know, that's the type of stuff I would do, just me. But now I don't expect that to happen, right? But I do expect there to be Bayley helped by Bianca, Naomi, and Jade, right? You had Jade kind of looking at the Kabuki Warriors that won a little quick time. You obviously had Bianca getting beat up by him, right? So what might happen next week is you might have Jade get beat up by them, right? Or she come in and save them from getting beat up. It's going to be something like that because it might be a get-back week. Right, so all 4 of them come together, and that might be their plans for WrestleMania. Because I think you got to put Jade Cargill on the WrestleMania card because you're paying her too much money, right, to not do so. So that's kind of what I expect to happen, man. But yeah, that's all I got, man. This thing running kind of long right here, man. You know, get with y'all later, man. Peace out.